Let me get right to it. If you feel like you work hard, you pay your bills, and you still cannot get ahead, I would not start by blaming your character. I would start by auditing the quiet habits that drain your cash flow. Many people don't notice the drain because each purchase looks small when it is isolated. But repeated purchases are not small. Repetition is where the damage happens. Compounding works both ways. A good habit compounds into freedom. A bad habit compounds into stress. So I want to talk about 10 very normal expenses that silently keep people broke and why many of them are not worth the money anymore. Wealth is rarely destroyed by one dramatic decision. More often it is slowly drained by small commitments you stop questioning because everyone around you treats them as normal. The first habit is buying a brand new car as if it is an ordinary decision. The average price for a new car in America today is just under $50,000, and the average monthly payment for a brand new car is over $800 a month. About 1 out of every 5 new car loans is now over $1,000 per month. That is not luxury anymore. That is the default market. And the default market is asking people to carry obligations their budgets cannot comfortably breathe under. When the payment is that large, it is not a transportation choice. It is a lifestyle choice. It competes with your emergency fund. It competes with your retirement contributions. It competes with your ability to say no when life throws a surprise at you. And once you have a large fixed payment, you start making your whole life fit around protecting that payment. Many people misunderstand where the real danger is. The payment hurts, but the bigger danger is the total cost of ownership. When you buy a brand new car, you are not buying transportation alone. You are buying higher insurance, registration, taxes, sales taxes, in most states, dealer maintenance pricing, and a long list of costs that arrive after the purchase when you feel less motivated to argue. Then you run into the largest cost that most people avoid thinking about: immediate depreciation. You can lose 15 to 20% of the value of the car the moment you drive it off the lot. So you can end up with a larger payment on something that is worth less than what you owe almost immediately. And that imbalance makes the rest of your financial life tighter than it needs to be. A simple mental shift helps here. Stop asking, "Can I afford the monthly payment?" Start asking, "What does this purchase force me to give up for the next few years?" If the answer is peace, flexibility, and savings, then the car is not just expensive. It is strategic damage. This is why I talk so much about incentives. A dealer is strongly motivated to get you to think in monthly payments, because monthly payments hide the true price. If you want to protect yourself, you have to force your own mind back to the total number and the total consequences. A big payment can feel manageable, but manageable is not the same thing as intelligent. In investing, we call it margin of safety. In real life, margin of safety means your monthly obligations are small enough that you can stay calm when something goes wrong. Calm people make better decisions. People under pressure make expensive decisions, and a new car payment is a reliable way to manufacture pressure. If your worry is reliability, I understand it. The way out is not a new car loan. The way out is learning how to buy a reliable used car with cash without getting burned. That means slowing down, checking the history, inspecting the vehicle properly, and refusing to rush just because someone wants you to focus on the payment. A rush decision is almost always an expensive decision, and if you cannot comfortably afford the total cost of the car, the solution is not to disguise that discomfort with financing. The next habit is buy now, pay later. I am talking about apps like Klarna, Afterpay, or Affirm. This is one of the sneakiest financial traps going right now because it removes the feeling of paying at the exact moment you are making the decision. Buy now, pay later is a short-term financing option that lets you purchase an item immediately and pay for it in smaller interest-free installments over time. At a retailer, online, or in a store, you select a provider like Afterpay or Affirm, and they run a soft credit check that does not affect your credit score. That soft check makes it feel harmless, which is precisely why people overuse it. If something feels harmless, you don't apply the same discipline you would apply if you were handing over cash. This is the psychological problem. People don't feel like they went into debt because they did not pull out a credit card and swipe anything. But you still created payments for yourself. You created future obligations that will show up later when your excitement is gone and your real life is back. You ordered clothes online. You clicked to get those 4 payments of $32, and your brain said, "No big deal, that is nothing." Then you do it again, and again, and again. Soon you don't have one big payment. You have about 10 or 12 small payments. The item often becomes ordinary fast, but the payments stay active. That is the trick. The pleasure is immediate, and the obligations are delayed. Delayed obligations are what make people feel confused about why they have money one week and stressed the next week. Monthly payments did not disappear because you used buy, now pay later. They just followed you home from the internet. Micropayments create macro stress, and stress makes people make short-term choices. Short-term choices are expensive because they push you into more short-term choices. That is how a person ends up busy, stressed, and still not building wealth. Discipline is not about never buying anything. It is about refusing to turn a small purchase into a chain of future obligations. Another normal expense that silently erodes people is storage units. I have been guilty of this too, which is why I can talk about it without pretending I am above it. With storage units, you are literally paying rent for your stuff, not for you. You are paying every month to avoid deciding what matters and what does not. A lot of storage units are filled with boxes of stuff, furniture, decorations, especially Christmas decorations, and things that are worth less than the total you spend on the unit. People pay $120 a month for 5 years. Do you realize that is $7,000 just to keep items many people forget they even own? When you pay $7,000 to preserve clutter, you are paying to protect past decisions from being questioned. Here is a rule of thumb that keeps the math honest. If it is important, it should be in your home. If it is not important enough to keep in your home, it is probably not important enough to pay rent for. That rule sounds harsh until you do the math, and then it starts to feel kind. It is kind because it protects your future from your past purchases. The hidden cost is not only the monthly fee, it is the opportunity cost of what that money could have done if you had kept it. $120 a month directed to a savings habit would create options. $120 a month directed to a storage unit creates nothing but a bill. Bills have gravity. They pull you down over time. Options have lift. They help you climb. If you want to build wealth, you want fewer bills and more options. There is also a practical point. If you have not used something in years, you are not preserving utility. You are preserving anxiety. And anxiety is an expensive thing to store because it demands payments, and it never thanks you for them. One is eating out constantly. I am not saying never go to a restaurant. I am talking about normalizing eating out every single day, like it is a lifestyle. It feels good, it looks normal, and it saves you from cooking. But it is expensive in a way your brain does not fully register in the moment. It is not always the fancy restaurants either. A lot of times it is lunch during the work week. The $5, the $10, the $20 here and there, then stopping somewhere after work, then weekend meals. It adds up fast because the repetition is what makes it large. Repetition turns convenience into a permanent expense, and permanent expenses crowd out your ability to save. Here is the math that people skip. $20 meals 4 times a week is over $4,000 a year for a couple. If it is you and one other person, you are pushing $8,000 a year. Many people are not broke because they eat steak and lobster all the time. Many people are broke because they eat ordinary food in ordinary places too often, and they never treat it like a real expense. Food choices are not just health choices, they are cash flow choices. Cash flow is the engine of everything. If your engine is leaking every day, you cannot be surprised that you are not getting far. The point is not to remove joy. The point is to stop pretending a daily luxury is a necessity. Then there are food delivery apps. Food delivery is eating out on steroids. DoorDash and Uber Eats are not a convenience. They are a luxury disguised as normal behavior. You pay delivery fees, service fees, tips, and marked up food prices for food that might be located 2 miles down the street. You are paying extra money to avoid a short walk and a little planning. The market is happy to make that trade with you every time. But your future self is the one who has to absorb the total. If you want to build wealth, you have to be willing to be mildly inconvenienced today, so you can be meaningfully free later. That is the essence of discipline, and discipline is what makes compounding possible. Another thing I almost never buy is an extended warranty. Electronic stores and retailers love selling extended warranties because the economics favor the seller. Companies don't aggressively push products they are going to lose money on, and that is a fact worth remembering. Most electronics either fail early under a manufacturer warranty or they last for years and years. The extended warranty lives in the middle and almost nobody uses it. Sometimes something goes wrong later, but for most people it is rare. So what you are really buying is peace of mind. And peace of mind is an emotional product. Emotional products are not always bad, but they are easy to overspend on because the benefit is invisible. You cannot see the moment when nothing happens, so you tell yourself you bought safety. In reality, you often bought a feeling, and if you buy too many feelings, you end up with fewer real safeguards, like savings and cash reserves. If a product is fragile enough that you feel you must buy extra protection, you should think twice about the product itself. And here is a cash rule that keeps you from rationalizing bad purchases. If you cannot buy it in cash 2 times, maybe you should not buy it 1 time. That rule is not about being cheap. It is about refusing to let a store turn your anxiety into profit. If you want true peace of mind, build it with cash and simplicity, not with add-ons at the register. Another trap is furniture store financing that advertises 0% for 24 months. We have all seen the ads, and the ads are designed to make the purchase feel smaller than it is. Please don't finance furniture, and don't finance appliances. When you do that, you are paying on something that is going down in value like a rock. A 2 or 3-year-old couch is not something you want to still be making payments on. Even if the couch is fine, the obligation is the problem. An obligation is what removes your flexibility. And flexibility is what you need when life surprises you. I don't care if they offer no interest for 24 months, because the fine print is where the profit is hidden. Most of these are deferred interest agreements. If you miss a payment, or you are late one time, or you don't finish paying off the balance, they can add all that interest back up retroactively. So the deal that looked friendly becomes expensive because you were human for 1 month. 0% financing does not make something affordable. It makes it emotionally acceptable in the moment. If you need payments to buy the furniture, you probably cannot afford the furniture. Wait until you can buy it with cash. Cash is not just a payment method. Cash is a discipline tool that keeps you from agreeing to deals you will regret. When you wait, you are not losing. You are choosing to buy later with control instead of buying now with pressure. Another normal expense that ruins people is a large wedding they cannot afford. The average wedding in America is about $34,000. Roughly 40% of marriages end in divorce. That combination should make you pause before you borrow money to impress a room full of people. You are spending the price of a down payment on a house on one single day. And when you pay $34,000 for a wedding, you are often paying for guests who will not even be involved in your life in 4 or 5 years. I am not saying guests are bad. I am saying debt is a terrible way to start something you hope will last forever. Debt turns a celebration into a payment plan. Then the payment plan follows you into the early years of your marriage, which are already full of adjustments and stress. If you want a marriage to have a margin of safety, don't begin by tying it to a big financial obligation. A calm home is worth more than a flashy event, and a calm home is easier to build without wedding debt. Here is a better idea. Have a small wedding that you can pay cash for now. Then when you make it to 15 years or 20 years and you have proven the marriage works and you have built some wealth, throw the big celebration then with cash. Do not start a marriage trying to impress guests and spend the next 5 years trying to escape the debt you used to pay for the wedding. If you want to celebrate love, don't begin by financing stress. Another quiet drain is sugary drinks and drinking your calories. Soda, energy drinks packed with additives, concentrated juices, jam packed with sugar, and alcohol. Almost none of it is good for your body, and a lot of it is not good for your money either. It is easy to ignore because it is usually a small purchase and it often happens automatically. $5 a day does not feel like much right now, but that is about $1,800 a year. When you buy these drinks, you are not just draining your wallet. You are draining your health. Some people are literally financing diabetes and don't even realize it because the damage arrives slowly, just like the spending. Water is basically free almost everywhere you go. You don't need the fancy bottled water either. When you stop buying sugary drinks every time you go somewhere, your body and your finances both improve at the same time. That is a rare trade where the smarter choice pays you twice. A lot of progress is not about a complex plan. It is about removing the daily purchases that disappear instantly and leave nothing behind. If you want better results, start with the patterns that occur every day, because daily patterns are where the compounding actually happens. Another trap is payday loans. Only about 5% of people in America have taken out a payday loan in the last year, but many more have certainly thought about it. The demand exists because emergencies happen, and a lot of people don't have a safety net. A missing safety net is not a moral failure. It is a practical problem with a practical solution. Payday loans don't solve emergencies. They extend emergencies. As soon as you pay with a payday loan, you have to hurry and pay off the payday loan. You just shifted your emergency from one thing to the next thing. That is why it feels like you never catch your breath once you enter that cycle. You borrow $300 and you end up paying back $450 or $500. Then many people borrow again just to pay off the first loan. It becomes a cycle, and then it becomes a habit if you are not careful. A habit like that compounds into fees, stress, and bad decisions made under pressure. The real solution is a small emergency fund. Start with $3,000 as an initial emergency fund if you can, because that covers almost anything. But even if you can only start with $500. Start a small safety net is not glamorous, but it is the difference between a bad month and a long financial setback. If you build the safety net once, it keeps saving you over and over again. The last one is buying clothes for one-time events. An outfit for the wedding, an outfit for the birthday party, an outfit for a photo shoot, an outfit for banquets, graduations, the concert, the club stop. Buying outfits for every occasion. The habit is expensive because it tries to turn every social moment into a purchase. You spend $150 or $200 on something you wear for 4 or 5 hours. Then it sits in the closet forever, or 4 or 5 years, or until that style comes back around in 15 years. There is nothing wrong with repeating the same outfits. 9 times out of 10, most people are not paying that much attention to you anyway. We have been conditioned to think every event needs a brand new look. But wealthy people repeat outfits. They wear the same jeans, the same shoes, the same blazer, the same long-sleeve shirt, or the same dress. They don't confuse looking put together with constantly buying something new. That confusion is expensive, and it usually benefits retailers more than it benefits you. I am stubborn about this for a reason. I refuse to spend money on clothes just to look like other people or to fit into a group for an occasion. I am not trying to purchase approval. I would rather purchase freedom. Freedom is built by keeping more of your money and giving it time. Time is what turns small savings into big outcomes. So I am happy to repeat an outfit if it means I can repeat a good financial habit. If you recognize yourself in any of these patterns, don't turn it into self-hatred, turn it into a plan. The old, you made decisions with the information and emotions you had at the time. The new, you can make decisions with clearer math, and clearer math creates calmer choices. First rule, stop paying for the feeling of normal. Second rule, look for the small commitments that repeat, because repeated commitments drain cash flow quietly. Third rule, when someone sells you a monthly payment, bring the conversation back to total cost and total consequences. Fourth rule, replace debt habits with ownership habits. Because ownership creates breathing room. Final rule, protect your future self, because the future you is the one who has to live with the contracts you sign today. You don't need a perfect life to build wealth. You need a handful of good rules repeated for a long time. When you start questioning these purchases, your money finally gets a chance to get better. And once your money gets better, your options get better. Options are what freedom looks like, and freedom is the real point of the whole exercise. If you want a simple scoreboard, watch your fixed obligations. The fewer recurring payments you carry, the more room you have to handle surprises without panic. And when you can handle surprises without panic, you stop making desperation purchases that lock you into the next problem. You don't have to do all 10 at once. Pick one leak, plug it, and let the room to breathe show you what is possible. That is how people escape being broke. One habit at a time, repeated long enough for compounding to finally work in their favor.